Welcome to the brand new series on the channel. Today we'll be talking about Sigma. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe.
Sigma balls!
Zibran the Copier is an astrophysicist and by many considered to be a pioneer in his field of research. He has always been obsessed with classical music and physics. Decades of study and research led the Copier to the belief that gravity is a harness. If the unifying theories were correct, through his work mankind would soon even be able to command nature's most potent expression of gravity, a black hole, and it would change everything forever. Throughout his career he worked with many great scientists, with Dr. Angela Ziegler being among them.
Doctor, are we still meeting for lunch after the seminar today?
Zibran, that was years and years ago. But we had a lovely talk.
Oh, I remember now. Birds, wasn't it? Birds and music.
He conducted his research in his lab located in The Hague, but his great invention was yet to be revealed. Thanks to his eccentric personality, impressive achievements and recognition, he was sent to the moon for a year by Licheng Corporation. During his time at Horizon Lunar Colony, he met Dr. Harold Winston, and even got a chance to see his test subjects. We also have a video about Horizon Lunar Colony coming out soon, so click the subscribe button so you don't miss it. The big genetically modified gorilla named Winston, that later joined Overwatch, was still a baby at this point.
I remember you. You visited the doctor on the lunar colony.
He was a good friend. And you were much smaller back then. Give Dr. Winston my regards.
Sigma has also some fun interactions with Hammond, who also was a test subject at the Horizon Lunar Colony.
The subject appears to be piloting the device. It may be worth observing further.
The subject reminds you he is sitting right here.
The Copier also advised Moonbase staff on the installation of their advanced low-gravity hydroponics system. After a year of hard work and access to new resources, the Copier managed to make a breakthrough. He successfully created a new maglev prototype. This technology was at the time only used by big corporations and governments. Due to the big size of the machines and costs related to its exploitation, it didn't find much use in everyday life back on Earth. The Copier basically made the maglev technology cheaper and more compact. By the Omnic Crisis, practically all vehicles on Earth were powered by this technology. Think about it, all the vehicles you see in the game do not have wheels on them. It was also revolutionary because humans no longer had to rely on fuel to power their cars, which was better for the environment. It's cool to see that something so important for the lore of the game was actually created by one of the playable characters. Even though the Copier revolutionized so much in his research, he was yet to control nature's most potent expression of gravity, a black hole. He was obsessed with his research and was always striving to discover more. You could say his whole career and decades of research all led him to this moment, his final breakthrough. On the International Space Station, the Copier performed his most important experiment. The containment field protecting him has failed, exposing the Copier to effects of black hole. Experiment was shut down immediately, but his short exposure was enough to inflict serious psychological damage. In addition to going crazy, the space around him began to experience strange fluctuations and he had to be evacuated as soon as possible. That event, which was supposed to be highlight of his career, marked the end of the Zibran the Copier and created Sigma. Upon returning to Earth, he was quarantined in secret government facility in New Mexico. He wasn't aggressive or anything like that, rather his lack of control over the gravitational anomalies was the problem. That, combined with his rambling about patterns of the universe, made people consider him as a threat to himself and others. He spent a few years in lockup so that his gravitational abilities could be studied. During that time, he was referred to as Subject Sigma. When Talon found out about his existence, they infiltrated the government facility and broke him out. In the animated short, we can hear Reaper's shotgun in the background.
The universe is singing to me!
So we can assume he was in charge of Sigma's extraction. Surprisingly, there are no voice lines or anything else referencing this event. Additionally, if you look at Sigma's legendary skins, we can see how his prison uniform looked when he was in confinement. Sigma joined Talon. With their help and resources, he gained control over his gravitational powers. However, I'd like to discuss his motivations for joining them. If you think about it, Sigma isn't as evil as the other Talon members. Everyone else in Talon doesn't have a problem with hurting people and doing horrible things in general. Okay, with exceptions. Baptiste. But let's look at this from Sigma's perspective. His career was basically over and he was locked up in a mental asylum. Talon not only gave him his freedom back, but also provided him with resources to continue his research. So even though he doesn't kill people for a living, he is willing to look past the atrocities that Talon commits just so he can continue his research. Also, it's possible that he doesn't fully understand his situation due to the psychic damage, and that he is an old lost man that just happens to be useful for them. He is clearly a pawn in this organization and they are using him and his research. Also, it's unknown what Talon wants to do with him, and why they are calling him a living weapon. I couldn't find any examples of Sigma actually fighting for Talon, so it looks like the gravitational powers are strictly used to advance the research. What's also cool, there are many interactions in the game between Sigma and other playable Talon members.
How can one focus when viewing the infinite universe?
You better find a way. Fast.
As you can see, Reaper is just annoyed by his fascination with science and lack of focus in the field. Reaper also doesn't shy away from bossing him around.
You're strong enough to leave, Talon. They can't trap you.
But I am not trapped. My colleagues give me everything I need.
I thought the same thing for too long.
Baptiste, as an ex-Talon trooper, tries to convince Sigma to leave Talon, but with no success.
I saw you at Luna's cabaret the other evening. Would you care to go together sometime?
I prefer to attend events alone.
Apologies, I wouldn't wish to intrude.
They reference the time they were at the Luna's cabaret in Paris. There is a video about the Paris map on the channel if you want to know more about this place.
You've been rather quiet today, Doctor. I've gotten a lot done.
I wonder if frogs dream of ponds.
There it goes.
They share an interest in science, but Moira often gets annoyed by Sigma's enigmatic quotes.
If the universe is a simulation, why aren't there more elephant seals?
It thrills me to put aside my preparations and humor your brilliant inquiries, Doctor. It thrills me.
Kind words. Thank you.
Similar to Reaper, she is a head council member in Talon, and shows her frustration with Sigma openly.
The boss was talking to Moira the other day. Kept looking over at you.
Yes. He wanted the doctor to run some non-invasive tests.
Aye. You come to me if they try anything, okay?
Looks like Widowmaker and Reaper are not the only ones that are experimented on by Moira.
You're zoning out again, viejito.
Forgive me. My mind has been turbulent lately.
Aw, stick by me, okay? I'll keep you focused.
These interactions indicate that Sombra, despite having a history full of lies and blackmailing, shows concern about Sigma.
My friend, you are from around here, no?
I used to be, yeah.
But how could one's place of origin change?
Let's hope you never know what I mean.
Sigma shows interest in Sombra's personal story, which makes their relationship even more interesting.
Moira's not around. Think she's hiding anything in her lab?
The doctor would likely prefer we respect her privacy.
You're so boring, viejito.
Moira has her lab in Oasis University. Sigma discourages Sombra from digging around in her stuff. That shows how much Sigma respects other people, regardless if they are kind to him or not.
Why does this place feel familiar?
We've been here, viejito. This is where Max lives.
Ah, yes, Maximilian! His collection of Greek sculptures is quite charming.
Maximilian is an Omnic head council member of Talon, ex-accountant. Now he owns the distillery in Havana and the casino in which attackers spawn at the Circuit Royale. I'm surprised that Sigma doesn't have any dialogue with Doomfist or Mauga. It could have told us even more about what's going on inside the Talon organization. When it comes to Sigma's interactions with the rest of the characters, well, there are some worth mentioning.
I like your research, Doctor.
Why, thank you. If I may ask, what intrigues you about it?
Gravity is my greatest rival, too.
Sigma seems happy to see a fellow Gravity enthusiast.
Snap out of it, old man. Talon is using you.
An ant on the ceiling. Where are you going, little friend?
Hey, I'm talking to you.
Oh, there's another one. What delightful creatures.
Soldier 76 tried to push some sense into him, but with no result.
That music. Could the volume be increased?
Really? You're a fan of my tunes?
Of course. They are delightfully distracting.
Sigma's more of a classical music guy.
So I'm trying to ask everybody this. What is your favorite animal?
The tardigrade, of course. The most adorable phylum in the irradiated vacuum of space.
Yeah, I can see it.
Well, at least now we know his favorite animal is a tardigrade. So all of these interactions just prove what I said earlier. Sigma, despite working with bad guys and being mentally unstable at times, is still a good person. If you want to hear all Sigma's voice lines, go to the link in the description, and the Overwatch wiki has you covered. Also, getting back to what I said earlier. Currently, Sigma just sits in a Talon lab somewhere. Therefore, we don't see him in any of the cinematics or comic books, which often depict more action-oriented stories. So Sigma was, and still is, at the sidelines of the important events in Overwatch lore. It's not stated anywhere, but I suspect he didn't witness any major global events or take part in them. Prior to the Omnic crisis, he was doing his own thing and had zero associations with Overwatch, Blackwatch or Talon. During the Omnic crisis, he was locked up in the government facility when Talon broke him out and the Overwatch was already gone and the Omnic crisis was also over. But I think that Sigma is a pretty interesting character, even though he's not a part of the main storyline and most of the other characters don't even know him. And is it just me, or Sigma just gets less and less creepy the more you get to know him? If you only watch his origin story video, he comes off as dangerous and creepy. But after listening to his voice lines, you'll realize he's not that bad. As a bonus for making it so far into the video, here's some trivia for you that I found interesting. Sigma's real full name is Sibylle de Kuiper, and it was possibly inspired by a real scientist from the Netherlands, Gerard Kuiper.
There is no obligation for the universe to make sense to you.
This voice line is a quote from famous astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. As you already know, Sigma is very passionate about classical music. If you listen closely, his actions in the game have their own unique melody that plays in the background.
Das Universum singt für mich!
In his origin story video, you can find hidden message by playing it backwards.
Release me!
And here are some sprays that I think are interesting. It's a reference to the art made by Marius Cornelis Escher. This could be a reference to Bound of Union. It's an obvious reference to Van Gogh's Starry Night, and this one contains Newton's law of universal gravitation. Reference to the experiment about a falling ball and a feather. A reference to the experiment by the same name. He's also the oldest character in the game. Can you believe it? This old fart is 64 years of age.
My back. I need to sit down. See you guys in the next one.